So the last time I was here, I did the McNaughton system on the whatever lathers over there, and I didn't have very good success. So when I was asked to come and demonstrate again, there was a request to show both the McNaughton and the ONEWAY. The ONEWAY is the one I use most of the time. I like it. It's not as difficult to use as the McNaughton, in my mind. Its limitation, though, is all the bowls are really limited by the curvature that you're going to, be depending on which knife. So this would be the number 2 knife. This would be the number 3 knife. So there's a number 1, which is smaller, and there's number 4, which is the largest of the knives. And I'll give you different size bowls. What I've got here, and the colors don't show up that well, but if you ignore the double thing here, the center here shows you how small a bowl you can get. And if you look at the black, I think this is black, and I think black is up here. So the number 1 knife will give you bowls in this range here. The number 2 knife will give you bowls in this range. 3. Actually, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, and I don't have the large one. So this would be the maximum you can get, and this would be the minimum you can get with the number 3 knife here. The knives come with accompanying support fingers. This, I think, is what makes the ONEWAY method better than the McNaughton, because you don't have a whole piece of steel that's hanging out over the tool rest, hanging into midair, really. So this is not a cheap way to get into coring, by the way, because you have a base that comes with the systems, which includes a slot, a post for the cutter, and a post for the support. And they're mated so that the support goes in and the knife has support all the way through. Yes, you can adjust those by giving ONEWAY another $180 and then give you another one of these. Okay. So yes, they're adjustable in that sense.
And they can be fine-tuned.
Right. So the other thing you want to do is you want to be cutting it at center height. So I've adjusted these, unscrew this, and so this gives you an adjustment. If you don't like to go just directly at center, you want to go a little below, you can just adjust this. The one thing that I found that you got to be careful of, because when you're coring, you wind up with some dust, sawdust here. If you don't blow it out, eventually it goes in there, and all of a sudden, hey, this knife doesn't work anymore. So I'm going to put this away. I'm going to put this away. These two go together. I'm going to put this away. we'll use this knife set. Now, let me put a blank up, and we'll talk a little bit about no. The base is based on the swing of the lathe. One of those bags there has got a piece of wood that's about this tall, this size. Not the plastic bags. Maybe that paper bag. I was asked to bring. Yes. No. Yeah. Give me that one. Okay. So. Yep. I brought a lot of bowls. I wanted to show you. So this. Remember we were talking about cracks a few minutes ago? This crack, see the crack? But this is a set that was made with the ONEWAY. Now, what I try to do is I try to turn my bowls to where the finish is and dry them. Usually I put them in a double paper bag and then put in one of those big leaf bags. And I don't generally have any problems. Except I've noticed now that I'm heating my cellar, they're drying a little too quick. So I got to try to throw them outside. But I turn them till they're about the size I want, and then I put them on the lathe and I finish them or ready for sanding. And the rims that I tend to do, if it's not a twice turn mold, I like to round out the rim. That helps in preventing it from cracking. The one thing that because cracking is because the water goes out of your I won't say pores, cells. And I figure if all these guys are working together, they got a lot more power to crack. Now this here, I believe that where this crack was there when I turn it, that's why there's glue on this. This one was probably done maybe even by just sitting in here. Here are a couple of beach ones, again, turned, and see the match up there? So this again was done with a ONEWAY. When I get to the McNaughton, I got a McNaughton set too. I'm going to try to save this guy up from cracking too much. The beech ones, by the way, I found that beech is another wood that really cracks easy. But once it gets punky or spalted, it doesn't move that much. It's been my experience. Okay. I adjusted these this morning, but when this tightens up. So basically, the support finger is holding and giving you the support as you're getting deeper into the bowl. So when you start, I'm going to start here, And when I put the support up, the support will be pretty much like this. As I get into the bowl, then you back off. You don't need to back this piece off. You back off the finger and you just insert the finger deeper and deeper and deeper until it gets down to where you think. Okay? For the longest time, when I saw the things on ONEWAY, I really thought these were kind of merged together so that you could, as you cut, it was going in, and you didn't have to just stop and adjust. But I learned my lesson, so I do a lot of adjusting now. The other thing is how deep can this get? How wide can it get? I'm used to my ONEWAY that I can reach right underneath it. So let me tighten this up a little bit, then I'll talk about. No washer. They don't give you a washer. So what you need to be careful of is, or be cognizant of, is how deep is your blank. This one looks about 6 inches. And how deep is the knife going to cut? Well, the deepest it can cut is to get about a 3 1/2 inch, 3 3/4 inch bowl. And how you need to, that'll give you the bowl size. If this post is dead up against this, if you move the post back, then you're going to get a smaller, thinner cut. But what you got to be careful of is that the size of the bowl is nice to know, but you got to pay attention to how deep is it cutting. So you don't want to put a piece of walnut in your cherry bowl at the bottom. Okay, so basically each knife. Sorry. Now the other thing is the platform, the base, can slide back and forth. So with a knife, this is how the things you can go from one to the other, min and the max. Is basically by sliding the platform, but you got to be careful that you're not sliding the platform further than the knife can actually go. So this is 6 inches. I'm going to try to get 3 bowls out of it. Whether you do a bowl for once turned bowl or a twice turned bowl, you make the you got to decide this like now. The other thing that you have to be cognizant of is if you're going to leave it for twice turned bowl, don't leave it too thick, because I don't care what you do, it's got a good possibility of cracking. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I think anybody got a pencil? Yeah, that'll work. Anything. Whoops. Yeah, you got to tighten this up. Usually what I like to do is I like to bring the tailstock up. I bring the tailstock up, and then I'll continue with the pen. And actually, what I'm leaving about 3/4 of an inch because I'm going to make this a once turn bowl. If I do this, this would be a twice turn bowl, and then I'll do another cut there. So I'm going to have 3 things I'm going to be cutting. I'm going to leave this outside one here. I'm going to cut here and here, but those lines here are going to be where the outside of my cutter will match to this side of the cutter, not this side, not the point. Now I got to be careful. How deep am I going to go? Well, I'm going to wind up with 1, 2, 3. I probably will not do the small one. Well, yeah, I will do the small one there. So then the knife, if I recall, the depth this is going to cut is 4 inches. And I get that by measuring from the post to the outside. So if I put my post an inch away, then I'm going to have a bowl that's going to be 3 inches deep. Okay. Oh, that's true. Thank you. I thought it was pretty safe. It was safe for me. I was standing here. Now, the one-way knives are made so that you can pull the tailstock up for support. If you're using a chuck, unless you put the tailstock up, if the fibers catch in there, you may break the tenon or it may fall off. If they get stuck with the tailstock on, generally what you wind up is grooves, and you just retighten it up. So I guess I'm almost ready to go here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten this up. That's going to be my it's close enough. So when you buy the base, by the way, I just looked it up on, you can spend probably $900 if you buy all 4 knives. You don't have to buy all the knives, though, depending on, you can basically take a number 3 knife and do a lot of stuff to it. You'll just wind up with bowls that are not as smooth, a nicer curve like this. They're more, what a conical. Okay. When I started, I think I bought the 1, 2, and the 3. I bought the 4 to round out what I could buy and have handy. But I think I've used the number 4 maybe once or twice. It's difficult to find really big wood, although you find it down here easier than you find it up north. Actually, I say down here. I'm used to being in Massachusetts. So I'm going there. So I know of the woodcut system, and okay, the woodcut is sort of like this. It'll give you just as you don't have the variability as you do with the McNaughton. I'll tell you the woodcut is less expensive, and I just saw that they have a bigger size now. And yeah, right. And so it would be interesting to see the difference. So the woodcut has.
This was from Mike. Yeah. I bought this.
So the woodcut pivots like this. Now, I don't know if this is the larger one that they have now, or if this is the original one.
It says 2 knives. The new one has 3.
Oh.
One bigger knife.
And your knife store's here. That's nice in a way.
Knife store's there. And that fits in your
Fits in the post.
and then your tailstock. That piece
Right.
in the tailstock, so it's very stable.
It sort of gives you what this is, the way this is giving you,
All that stuff.
without, the knives being notched.
The other knife is support it.
Yeah, you do. The woodcut, but unlike the McNaughton, the knife is one of the knives is about the size of McNaughton. The other one is bigger. So you would think that this would be better. I don't know if it is or not because I don't know what steel this is. I don't know what steel this is. Okay, so it's another. I know that the larger woodcut, and I don't know how many knives it comes in. I saw it, and it was about $500. The woodcut also has the advantage of you don't have to buy the new base if you have buy a new lathe. I have a ONEWAY at home, and I've been using that for a while. Then I bought one of these for a house I have on a lake up north, and I had to buy one of these. So some of you saw me just take this out of the wrapper today. So it's its first time use. Now, before you start, you want to make sure that the support finger is tightened also. I tightened the base, tightened the support finger, and I think we're ready to go. Yes, true. Not only, but also they throw in another 3/4 inch thing, right? And it comes in the nice shiny one now, as opposed to the So, yeah. All right. So the ONEWAY system, I like to say it's a pulled system. You got a handle, and you're pulling on the handle. When I do the McNaughton, you wind up pushing on it. So I like to call it a pull-push. I don't know what else. Oops, you know what else I should be wearing? No. Now, the ONEWAY has the controls on a swing arm. So I've always got the control over here with the off button. The off button is way over there. So if it jams up, it's not as quick to stop it as if the button's here. However, as my famous saying is, it is what it is. So let's see what it does. Yeah, I'm going to try to see if I can center this a little bit more. This chuck has seen a lot of use. Yeah, I know that's worse. Turn this down a bit. So all you need to do can you still hear me? Okay, all I'm doing is actually pulling on the handle. Now this is it's cutting real well. I think this knife has a carbide tip on it. Well, these you need to sharpen. The big one, which I haven't used, well, maybe once or twice, they basically tell you sharpen it after each bowl. Okay. When I did the demonstration at the last symposium, I demonstrated the ONEWAY. ONEWAY gave me a carbide tip. This may be the carbide tip. So I don't have to sharpen it. We'll talk about sharpening these in a minute because we're going to pull up a website because you can actually buy a little kit that shows you and helps you align everything so you can sharpen them. And it's like anything else in wood turning. If it's not going right or you think it's, then go sharpen something. And then if you have a smock, zip it up. Yes. I don't necessarily look at speed as much as how things seem to be going. Certainly when you get down where it's deeper, you probably want to go a little slower. With the McNaughton and this, as you get down into, you're almost basically slicing this way. It tends to almost pull itself in a little bit. The McNaughton does it a lot more. Now, this one here, I guess it's pretty much time to change the I normally don't have to do this, but since I didn't do this real well, actually this can stay here. I'm going to put the finger in. So I'm down about, I did tighten that, didn't I? On the, yeah, because I mean, this is, should have brought my own. Yeah, it's. Yeah, this is, yes, you know, the reason for that is the shavings are smaller, so they're not going to jam up as easy. Yeah, the question was, is it easier to core wet or dry? Dry, the shavings are smaller, they won't jam up as quickly. Okay. Now I've gone in about 1 inch. the way, when the knife gets about to this point where you're kind of cutting across like this, it tends to not cut as fast. So it'll cut fairly fast towards the top. When you're about at a 45, it kind of just doesn't cut as nicely. Now, I can continue cutting this. I can actually loosen the base, move it just a bit to give me a little more room for the shavings to come out. So it's going to either reduce this size or reduce this side. So I'm going to do that just because, although this wood has been cut for a couple of years, I can't do it. Maybe I can. All right, I'm going to move the finger a little further. Before you start the next cut, you really want to roll the thing back in case there's some shavings that are kind of jammed in there. Give the lathe enough torque when it comes around to get rid of them. The shavings don't come out by themselves. Just pull the knife out, back in. I'm going to move the knife one last time. You can make sure that knife doesn't jam up. Okay, since I don't, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the same knife now, but this time I'm going to move the base closer. Now, it would have been better if I had stopped just a little bit before it actually broke off. To give yourself, you really want to try to break it where there's some base on it, because if you make all of them come off with just that little nipple there, it doesn't give you much of a base or depth to get a foot on it. You may have, you don't want a foot that's this big. Am I making myself clear? So the base now is almost up to the wood. So I should have about an inch. Okay, make sure the base is tightened. Now, this is where tailstock extension, because as you get the cores out, in order to use a tailstock, it's got to be able to reach the bottom. Now, having said that, if you've turned your blank on a screw on the chuck, you can actually reverse what I'm doing here. What you can do is you can cut the largest bowl out, because the largest bowl is, as someone mentioned, is your money bowl. Okay, you don't want to screw that one up. So you make all your nice calculations to make sure you're going to get the big bowl. With the screw, then you can put it back on, create another foot, and then turn your next bowl or next 2-3 bowls, whatever it is. You can turn the next bowl and do the whole process until I would have had basically just that small bowl left. So with the tailstock extension, I can get in deep. So when I come to get the next bowl, I'm going even deeper. So you kind of need an extension. This, I have a number 3 Morse taper, and my one-way revolving center, it actually sticks out here. I have no idea how I'm going to get this one out of this, but it's going to be interesting. That's why I put my own. I didn't use the schools. Okay. All right, so let's give it a go. It's going slow, but it's going. I'll check this here. About time to move the support knife. All right. Ideal, you don't want to have to clean this often.
Ron, quick question. How do you know when to stop when you think you got the big enough tenon on the bottom of that bowl?
Generally, the stop, when you got the tenon, the handle almost wants to be here. If you take it beyond center here, you're going to be pretty much getting that. I didn't stop the other one. I am going to stop this one a little bit here before I get ready, and I'll try to do what they call snap it off, so that we do wind up with a little bit bigger base. So what I'm going to do here is just moving the base a bit so I can yeah. We're about to almost past where it goes slower, because you can see it's starting to feed a little bit easier now. Time to move the finger back in, though. I see what you mean. See how it's feeding now? If you notice, it's saying a lot of sawdust. That means the knife isn't cutting that well. me move the finger in a little bit more. So just about now is when I want to see if I can just about now I want to see if I can actually so my way of seeing if they come off is dead blow hammer, go a little bit more. David Lancaster is what he uses is, there you go. Yeah. If you pry,
you had it pretty close to done.
yeah. So this is what I was saying, what you want to try to leave. See, about this size. It's almost enough for a tenon. But where this one went deeper, you don't have as much as if I had snapped it here. It gives you more or less material to work with. You don't want too much material because then it means you're not getting maximum bowls. Now, if this was a twice turn bowl, then I would just seal this and throw it aside or put in bags. Pass that one around. Yes, because it was a fairly consistent thickness on the way in. Use your fingers. I mean, because there's no room for error, really, because it's going to wind up, whatever you started out here is going to be the same thing all the way through because, you're limited. Because this is, the pivot point is what limits everything. So I got a question. Whoever mentioned about wet cut, winter cut, cherry versus yeah. So this bowl here was cut Thursday. We'll put this up and use it at McNaughton on it. And I'll show you that I can't always use the tailstock with the McNaughton. I'll show you why, because it gets in the way. So let me take this off here. And this I want to put in a plastic bag. You would. In my opinion, the problem is especially with a freshly cut piece of wood. Tell you what, we'll do this. Oh, it's tracking okay. see how much one side I was wailing on it. Not wailing, but I was really putting my whole body in it now. I think that's what happened with the earlier one. What you get with the McNaughton system, you're gonna get a post with 3 slots in it. The slots, and there's another one now for an even mini one. The slots basically correspond to the thickness of the tool. The larger slot here, you can buy the bowls that go up, the knives that go up to 19 inches. And that was what that slot would be used. This would be used with the slots, with the knives that are a little smaller. I'm not sure how far that goes. The way, again, you want to cut at center. And the way you cut at center and not get propelled into the ceiling when it catches is this support here. Now the new one has like a box, and I'm not sure how sturdy it is. I would think it would be fairly sturdy, or as sturdy as this. Yeah, so when you core with this, basically, this is probably level here. Once you start coring, the knife will come up a bit. If you try to hold it flat, you're going to be doing this all the time. Now, I have a chuck collar here, thanks to Peter, that is set, so the next time I would use it in this lathe, I'd just drop it in. I wouldn't have to adjust anything. If I try to use one of the smaller knives, the more curved, basically I'd be starting out here somewhere, and not, so this is where the tailstock is in the way. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean this cut up so that I don't, so it doesn't bounce on me when I start.
While Ron is doing that, saw a trick somebody do. You're going to take off the small bowl first. A neat little trick is while you get your blank all rounded up and flattened off, you can drill a 3/8 hole at center and then put your tailstock into that hole. And that way, when you peel this one off and you're all done with your coring operation, you take your woodworm screw, stick it in your chuck, and you can screw it right on there and save some time.
Oh, so you've got, so you don't.
You pre-drill that hole for this woodworm screw, which is kind of a slick little way to save an extra 10 minutes. Sorry, just
so that's if you started with a faceplate holding the thing. If you didn't start with the so that one there, I had put the worm screw on. Yeah, that holds with the worm screw. However, it got loose, and so I put faceplate on it. But yes, that's if I take and turn the when I'm rounding out the thing. If I'm doing it on the worm screw, then that's already there. This is going to be very wet. Okay, as long as it's flat, we're ready to go. So on this one, It's in the right handle, but so I'm going to remove the tailstock here for a little bit to show you how you determine where to start. There's a lot of slow travel on this. Okay, so I'm going to be using the slot that's made for this size knife. Now, where do you start? What are you going to get? Or, you know, what size bowl you're going to have? I'm going to try to get a bowl that's about this deep here. Okay? And if I take and bring the knife out in that particular arc, bring it down, to get that, I need to start my handle over here. However, this is where you got a problem with the tailstock. Can't use it. Okay, so I would be careful over there. Could we move the camera just a little bit that way? I'm not 100% comfortable. So this is what I would do, right? Let's say, let's take the different knife, and I can probably start it here. Further out. Okay. So if I'm going like this, we'll see if it works. Not quite. I'll do what we can with this. If you notice the handles in a way, I really need to be able to go a little bit more like this. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to do what we can. We'll see where it takes us. So I'm going to be starting over here, and I'm going to try to go to that depth. So the one way, like I was saying earlier, what you do is you're really pulling the handle. With the McNaughton, you're really pushing the handle in. So I'm going to make a wider cut. You do have a little more freedom here with the handle. You can just kind of move the handle a little bit to give you, to widen the slot so that it doesn't plug up that quick. It is up.
Oh, because it was looked like you were
Oh, maybe. Okay, so. Hey. So if I don't, the minute I put it up, it jams. If I don't push too hard, I can actually get it to go. Right, basically at this point is when it almost starts to go in by itself. There's very little pressure you need to put in it.
nice.
So it shouldn't be this hard. I think I'm finding chalk.
Can I ask you a question?
You may ask me any question you want to.
It looks to me like the chunk, the tenon.
Point out that what probably some of my problem is I've got a tenon that's too big, and the jaws are really just catching on the ends of the jaw. If I make my tenon smaller, so more of the jaw can grab it, or use a bigger jaw. It's probably a number 4, I think, would probably be better. I don't like the number 5s; they're too big. But that's a good point. I've always made my tenons large for extra strength, especially with the McNaughton. If I can't start with the tailstock, you know, I've had tenons break off. But the slipping like it was here is maybe the jaws don't grab enough. If the tenon breaks off, that means there's not enough strength. So,
how about would it be difference between a dovetail and a serrated? Do you think dovetail works better than a serrated?
I have a set of dovetail jaws that I've not used. As a matter of fact, I found out I had them just the other day when I was looking for something else, and I do plan on trying to put one in for 2 reasons. Is one thing that I try to do is, you know, I try to finish my bowl inside and outside on the lathe, and I do, and then finish inside and out, and then I usually turn the tenon off. But if I can keep it to where it's good, I can finish it, and it looks like an added foot to the bowl. And with the dovetail jaws, that would be good. I'm sorry, what?
Question on tape. Why wouldn't you use a well, actually, if it's wet, you could use Gorilla Glue, a face plate, and a glue block. And for the glue on a wet wood, then that Gorilla Glue is even better because it's water activated or.
But the strength is still going to be in other words, no tenon at all, no tenon at all. Just yeah. I guess I've always figured that putting a glue block on it was just another step that I didn't really need to do.
I know how you feel, but it's more secure than the soldier, especially if you use a face plate like one of those big one-way face plates.
Yeah, you certainly can. It's not something that I've done in any turning I've ever done. I've never used a glue block on anything. I've always gone to chucks. The other thing now that this one is out of there, what you can do, and this is kind of a learning process, you say, okay, what does this knife, or what is it that I can do with this knife? What angles? What angle can I get? If you take the knife and you kind of go, okay, what could I do to get a deeper bowl? Where do I get my start? You can actually use this to learn by okay, where do I start? So you can actually use the side of this as a scraper to figure out how deep can I get. This was not, basically I could have gone deeper, probably started out a little thicker here, moving the tailstock in to, it's definitely not as easy to use as the one way. This, they tell you to don't sharpen the top because the top is a very thin layer of hard steel there. So they tell you to take like a card scraper, and basically run it up the side here like this. Yep. And that's what you're supposed to do. Now, yesterday I took one of the knives, I put it on the grinder to get a little more of a burr.
So I want to say thank you, Ron, for the demonstration.